Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We go back to February 19th, 1952. Herbert Marshall stars as the man called X, Ken Thurston, traveling to Egypt. Why? Well, we'll let them explain that to you here.
Listen to Herbert Marshall as the man called X. Wherever there is mystery, adventure, intrigue, in all the strange and dangerous places of the world, there you will find the man called X. From the oil fields of Iran to the fertile delta of the Nile, the smoldering coals of ancient hatreds, of militant nationalism, threatened to burst into a fiery inferno that could well be the start of World War III. And who would there be to say whether such a flaming holocaust came into being accidentally or was deliberately ignited as a weapon of destruction aimed at the Western democracies? Time is 9:45 p.m. The place, a dark, crooked alleyway near the dock area of Cairo. The furtive figure of a man moves cautiously, hesitatingly, through the black, enveloping shadows of the Egyptian night.
Why do I do these things anyway? A guy could get his throat cut out here, and for what? A few measly bucks. Believe me, if it wasn't for that, I'd never do it. Where's Uncle Ahmed anyways? He said he'd meet me here. Where is he? Where is Cousin Ismail? Oh, where is anybody?
Right behind the Effendi.
Who? Oh, Uncle Ahmed, it's so dark for a minute I thought you were somebody else. Oh. You are somebody else.
Quiet, Zellschmidt. That is the blade of a knife you feel pressing against your throat.
It is?
Listen. There is a certain man aboard the British cruiser Hellenic out in the harbor. A certain Pasha Ken Thurston. He must board the Cairo Port Said Express at midnight. Compartment C3. With him, he must have 100,000 pounds sterling. Repeat that.
Cairo Port Said Express. Midnight. Compartment C3. 100,000 pounds sterling?
You will see that he is there with the money. Otherwise, your life will be forfeit.
But what if he don't want to go?
He will go, Zellschmidt. When you tell him that with 100,000 pounds, he will be able to purchase a halfpenny stamp.
This story of Zellschmidt sounds rather like a weirdie, doesn't it, Ken? Could be a trap, you know.
I doubt it, Jim. I had a hunch Pagon and his uncle Ahmed could help us out on this. I think they've done it.
Well, Zellschmidt said this knife-wielding character did mention a halfpenny stamp, but is it the one we're after?
Well, it has to be. What other stamp could possibly be worth 100,000 pounds?
Yes, 20 times that if it contains the data we want. And how are we to find out?
Easy. I'll be aboard the Cairo Port Said Express at midnight.
Might take a bit of doing. The Egyptians aren't very partial to us at this moment, you know.
I'll do a bit of disguise, change clothes, go as an Egyptian merchant.
And I'll wager your throat's cut before you leave the station.
I'll let you know how I come out.
No, hold on, Ken. You might be decent enough to wait until I get my hat. I'm going with you. Sure this is the right car, Ken?
Yeah, there's compartment C5, C4. Here we are, C3.
Come in, please, gentlemen. Come in. There's more than enough room for all of us.
Who are you?
My name is Touros, gentlemen. Dimetro Touros.
This happens to be a private compartment, Mr. Touros. Or didn't you know?
Oh, yes, I was quite aware of that fact. I have been waiting for you, Mr. Thurston, and for Commander Stevens.
Yeah. How'd you know who we are?
I have connections, sir, but that is not important now.
What is?
The fact, sir, that I am a philatelist, a stamp collector, and my reason for being here is the same as yours. A certain halfpenny stamp.
What stamp is that?
Gentlemen, some 5 years ago, a British intelligence agent managed to infiltrate into a certain organization, a Middle East Strategy Committee, whose orders came from a city which might well be called Moscow. Am I correct, Commander Stevens?
You were saying something about a stamp, Mr. Touros.
Yes. That agent managed to acquire quite a fund of information about this committee, such as its concern with the Iranian oil situation, its interest in the anti-British riots in Egypt, and he inscribed it all, every fact, name, place, upon the back of a halfpenny stamp.
Oh, come now, Touros. One could hardly write a phone number on the back of a stamp, let alone all that data you're mentioning.
As you know, the agent was a specially trained calligrapher, one who could inscribe the Lord's Prayer on the head of a pin.
So?
The agent was arrested by the committee and murdered. The stamp disappeared. It is now somewhere in Egypt, avidly being sought by Russian agents, by British agents, by certain Arabian potentates.
And by Dimetro Touros.
Yes, as you say, Mr. Thurston, by Dimetro Touros.
What's your interest in it?
Strictly financial. That stamp is worth a great deal of money to the interested parties I have mentioned. Here, one of my cards. I trust you will visit me one day soon at my home in Port Said. Thank you, gentlemen. Good night.
Well, now what you make of that, Ken?
One thing's for sure. Our friend Touros is well informed about that halfpenny stamp. But he's not the man we came to meet.
Oh? What makes you think that?
Those bloodstains on the carpet.
Bloodstains on the... Yes. Right next to that window seat. What in the world?
There's luggage space under that seat. Let's take a look.
Yes, indeed. You think he was the man we were going to meet?
Yes.
And then who slipped that knife into him? Touros?
Could be.
Then Touros must have the stamp.
I doubt it.
Why?
He would try to make a deal with us all. He would claim he entered the compartment by accident.
And there must be somebody else aboard the train. Could be anybody.
Yeah.
May we come in, gentlemen?
Oh, you're in. What do you want?
I am Major Osman Kamal, Egyptian military police. The men in the corridor are my agents. Do not attempt resistance, please.
What's your interest in us?
The corpse under that seat makes the answer superfluous. However, you are both under arrest for murder. Raise your hands, please.
Ken,
raise them.
Better do as he says, Jim. After all, it makes it easier to reach the emergency call.
Not for that, if they do not.
Get the door, Jim.
Got it.
What about the major? Knocked off his feet. I'll make sure he stays that way.
A touch of genius, Ken, pulling an emergency cord. There's certainly no time to mess around with a murder charge, but where do we go from here?
Port Said.
Port Said?
If the stamp's aboard this train, that's where it's headed. The window, Jim. We'll get out that way. Come on.
Lovely city, Port Said. Despite the trouble we had getting here. Though I must confess I don't feel one bit closer to that stamp.
That's why I want to visit our friend, Dimetro Touros. He's the only lead we have.
Yes, well... according to the address on his card, this should be his home.
Yeah. You go on and contact your agents in town. See if they've learned anything. I'll talk to Touros here, and we'll meet at the El Akbar Hotel tonight. Right.
Hello,
Hello, Mr. Thurston. Welcome to Port Said.
Well, I'll be...
And surprised to see me, eh, Mr. X?
I should have known you were aboard that train last night. What did you do? See Toros leave that compartment and follow him here?
That's right. It only stood to reason you'd be showing up here, too. So when the tourist character left the house, I got in.
Yeah. How long have you been here?
Only a couple of minutes, Mr. X.
Nobody else in the house?
No, not a soul. Well, what do we do now?
Look for a halfpenny stamp.
The one worth 100,000 pounds. Sterling?
Yeah. Now, that looks like a den or library over there. Let's try it.
Hey, it's blacker in here than my Aunt Zenobia's heart.
There's a lamp on this desk. Huh?
Hey. Some joint, eh, Mr. X? Must be plenty of dough in this damn business. And look at that painting of that cute cookie dancing.
We're interested in stamps, not dancing girls. Remember?
Oh, sure. So, where do we start, Mr. X?
I suppose we try those albums on this desk.
Hey, look at those books. All covered with leather and stuff. Artificial diamonds and stuff.
Oh, those diamonds are real, Pagan.
Oh, sure. I knew it all the time. Would they ever put diamonds on a book that was real?
That's right.
Then what are we waiting for? Let's grab those books and scram out of here.
Oh, shut up.
Find something, Mr. X?
Take a look at this page.
What's that to look at? Just stamps.
Halfpenny stamps.
Hey, maybe one of them's that the one that Joker said you should meet him on the train so you could pay him off, and it's worth almost $500,000.
Yeah. Let's check them.
But how are you going to do that, Mr. X? What are you going to look for?
They're in little plastic envelopes. We can see both sides. Look for writing on the back.
Writing? Or what kind of writing?
Any kind of writing. Just... My eyes. Funny, the matter with... There you go.
Mr. X. I'm sleepy.
The lamp of smoke is coming up from the lamp. Being drugged. Gotta get out of here.
Oh. Sure, Mr. X. Gotta get out.
Hey, get up. Get the lamp. Drugs coming from the lamp. I gotta turn it out. Turn it. Oh.
We'll return to The Man Called X in just a moment.
February 19th, 1952, The Man Called X on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station. Now back to The Man Called X, starring Herbert Marshall, February 19th, 1952.
And now, Act Two of The Man Called X, starring Herbert Marshall, with Leon Velasco as Pagan Zellschmidt. It is only a little colored piece of paper, a halfpenny stamp, but on its back it contains information that could quench the rising flames of unrest in the Middle East, or could lead to World War III. And now Ken Thurston is in Port Said, Egypt, searching for the stamp in the home of Dimitro Touros, a search that is suddenly terminated when he and Pagan come under the influence of some strange drug.
So, Thurston Effendi, you are regaining consciousness at last.
Yeah. Yes, looks as though... Huh? Well, who are you?
I am known as Erdry. Does the name mean anything to you?
That picture on the wall in Touros' library. The dancing girl.
Oh, I am flattered that you recognize me, Effendi.
Pagan, where's Pagan?
Your companion is sleeping comfortably in the cabin next to this one.
So we're aboard ship.
The Abdullah Bay, anchored in the harbor of Port Said. It is my husband's yacht.
Husband?
You have already met him.
Dimitro Touros.
That is quite correct.
Why bring me here?
Is it so difficult to fathom, Effendi? We are all after the same thing. The halfpenny stamp.
No, it still doesn't make sense. Unless you working with your husband, Audrey, or against him.
The maître is a pig. Does that answer you?
It gives me a general idea, yeah.
Well, then let me give you more specific ones. On the port side waterfront, there is a cafe known as the Star of Heaven. Tonight, in the Star of Heaven, you may be able to find the halfpenny stamp that you seek.
That's interesting. Anything else?
I understand it will be in the custody of one I have heard referred to only as the man with the third green eye.
Well, not very enlightening, is it?
It will have to do. I have told you all that I know.
Yes, but why?
I wish that stamp to be in the hands of its rightful owners, not in the metros. And I intend to make certain of that personally.
Oh, how?
If you succeed in obtaining the stamp, you will come back here to the yacht with it.
Why should I come back?
There are 2 men wanted for a murder committed aboard the Cairo Port Said Express. A certain Major Osman Kamal is in Port Said at this very moment. He might well be interested in the whereabouts of one of those men.
Not very subtle about your threats, eh?
There is nothing very subtle about war, Thurston Effendi. Well?
I'll try to be back tonight.
These carriages would cut your throat for nothing, even less maybe. Why don't we give this place a couple of quick powders?
No, not until we find the things we're looking for.
What things?
A halfpenny stamp. A man with a third green eye.
Now, what kind of talk is that?
Pardon, Effendi, Your Honor. For you, Effendi, best coffee, black pecan hot.
Thank you.
And for you, Effendi, halib, milk, pure and sweet from the cow.
Milk? But I ordered a triple scotch.
I changed the order. What do we owe you, waiter?
Nothing, Effendi. It has been paid for.
How do you like that? First free loading I get in 6 months, and I went up with milk.
Mighty nice, waiter. Who arranged it?
The proprietor, Abdul Hafiz Ben.
Hafiz Ben?
Yeah, that is he, standing near the rear door.
Hey, Mr. Thurston, that Hafiz Ben joker. He's
Yeah. Thank him for us, waiter. And here for you.
Oh, 1,000 thanks, Effendi. May the blessing of Allah...
But, Mr. X, look at that Hafiz Ben guy. And what's on the turban he's wearing?
I see it, Pagan. A brilliant green emerald.
Sure, and it's sitting almost in the middle of his forehead. A guy with a couple of drinks or 2 under his belt could even think maybe it was... A third green eye, Mr. Zellschmidt? That's right, a third green...
That a guess, Touros? What do you know?
I know. I can assure you that Abdul Hafizban is the man with the third green eye.
And the man who has the stamp?
Quite nice of you to invite me so cordially to join your table, gentlemen.
The gun you've got inside that napkin says we haven't much choice.
Quite right, Mr. Thurston. Though it is only .22 caliber, it would be quite deadly if aimed properly. Well, sir, shall we indulge in some friendly conversation regarding a halfpenny stamp? You must realize by now that I want it, sir. Want it very badly. And before this evening is out, I shall possess it.
Then why waste time with me?
My dear sir, it is hardly a waste of time to remove the last obstacle from one's path. You will notice that the band is playing louder. The music will shortly reach a pitch where the sound of 2 shots muffled in this napkin will go entirely unnoticed.
Just like that, eh?
Just like that, sir.
Well, at least there's time for me to finish this coffee.
My face! My face!
Let's have that gun, Touros.
I will kill you, Thurston.
Let's have it, Touros.
I will. Oh, Mr. Thurston.
Come on, that rear door.
Yeah, but where are we going?
We've got a date, Pagon. The man with the third green eye.
But why do we still hang around these joints, Mr. X? The rest of those jokers will be after us any minute.
Office Ben's still got that halfpenny stamp.
And you think he's back here somewheres?
He's got to have an office someplace. Maybe this is it.
Oh, Mr. X.
Yes.
Oh, but who? Why?
Take a look at his turban.
Mr. X, the emerald. The third green eye.
Yes. Missing.
Herbert Marshall, The Man Called X, February 19th, 1952, and beware of the man with the third green eye. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The conclusion follows these messages from your favorite radio station. Classic Radio Theater family, you know our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by just creating the best pillow. He created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me because, you know, I'm working like 67 hours a day. Now, Mike's offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets ever. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. You'll never want to sleep on anything else once you slept on a set of Giza Dream sheets. A special offer for you right now. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. Call 1-800-928-4715. Use the promo code Wyatt. Or go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Wyatt. It's good on anything on the website. That number again, 1-800-928-4715. Use my promo code Wyatt. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of The Man Called X, starring Herbert Marshall, February 19th, 1952.
So the man with the third green eye is dead, Thurston Effendi. And the halfpenny stamp is missing once again.
Looks like it, Audrey.
This is too bad. But at least there is one consolation. The Metro did not get his filthy hands on it.
Yeah. Well, I've kept my promise. Might as well be going. Well, Major.
And you remember me, Thurston Effendi?
Sure. Looks like you pulled a neat double cross, Audrey.
Perhaps it would not have been necessary if you had returned with the halfpenny stamp, Thurston Effendi.
So you're in on this, too. What about that military police gag?
Merely a subterfuge to question you on Commander James Stevens at leisure. Circumstances prevented that aboard the train. Nothing shall prevent it now.
What do you think you'll find out from me?
The present whereabouts of the stamp?
You think I'm the one who killed Hafiz Ben and took the stamp from him?
No other explanation will fit the circumstances.
Major Cabal, start questioning him. He will tell us where it is hidden quickly enough.
Oh, you don't have to bother. I'll tell you where it is. But I want to get something straight first.
Huh? What?
As I see it, Hafiz Ben spread the word that he'd sell the stamp to the highest bidder, and the vultures started gathering around. Tourists who had the money to buy it, and the two of you who sent me to the cafe to get it for you.
So?
But you didn't figure that one of you would double-cross the other.
What do you mean?
While Touros and I kept each other busy, one of you killed Hafiz Ben and took the stamp. Didn't you, Audrey?
What? You're lying.
Better not wear such spicy perfume. The scent was still in Hafiz Ben's office. Now, where's the emerald? The one that's got the stamp concealed inside. In your purse?
No, stay away from there. No.
Okay, Major. It's your move.
So you did double-cross me, Audrey. I should have known.
No, Osman. Put away that gun. You can't shoot me. You can't.
I am going
Is everything okay, Ken?
It's under control, Jim. Thanks. You heard everything?
I didn't miss a word. All very exciting at the end there, and I must say we've run up against as unsavory a crew of characters it's ever been my misfortune to meet.
Who are you to talk, you filthy capitalistic pigs? Someday we will prove to the world who the truly superior peoples are.
Oh, sure. You're certainly trying hard enough. Using the double-cross, murder, even war. Or maybe someday you'll learn that there are no superior people. Only a couple of billion human beings who want to live together in peace. Who pray they won't have to fight to get it.
Now, here's our star, Mr. Herbert Marshall.
Thanks for being with us. And my thanks to Lucille Meredith, John Dana, Ed Begley, John Stevenson, and Lou Krugman. Next week, South America. The basin of the Orinoco River, where, believe it or not, a ton of dynamite and one Pagon Zellschmidt produce an explosion that threatens the whole country. Pagon? Leon Belasco, of course. So join us, won't you, when next I return as the Man Called X. Good night.
The Man Called X, starring Herbert Marshall, is a J. Richard Kennedy production with music by Milton Charles. Tonight's story was written by Sidney Marshall. This program is directed by Jack Johnstone. All characters and incidents on this program are fictitious, and any resemblance to actual characters or incidents is purely coincidental. And now, until next week, same time and station, this is Hal Gibney saying good night for The Man Called X.
February 19th, 1952, The Man Called X on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of the soap opera Claudia. This was originally broadcast February 19th, 1948.
Your Coca-Cola bottler presents Claudia. Claudia, based on the play and novels by Rose Franken. Brought to you, transcribed, Monday through Friday by your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. Relax, and while you're listening, refresh yourself. Have a Coke. And now, Claudia.
Well, how do you think Bluff looked?
Much better. Didn't you, darling?
Yep, I thought so. His eyes looked more like his.
That makes a lot of sense.
You know what I mean.
Tell me.
I meant they don't look feverish anymore.
Oh. That Dr. Mixel seems to be a very good man. He cleared up the infection in no time.
It's modern drugs. The average germ really doesn't have a chance anymore.
Well, listen to you. Who have you been talking to?
Dr. Mixel. He said...
Now, wait a minute. You're not going to be the kind of woman who falls in love with her doctor, are you?
In the first place, he's Bluff's doctor. And in the second place, I'm not going to be that kind of woman.
Well, that's a relief.
I'm going to have 6 children instead.
You mean we're going to have 6 children instead of what?
Just instead. Of course I mean you, darling. I wouldn't dream of having them without you. Just think, David, Dr. Mixel said that tomorrow we can take Bluff home.
It'll be good to have the old boy around again. I've missed him.
He's missed us. Did you notice how he wagged his tail and sang when he came in the room and saw us? And did you notice
And he practically licked the skin off my hand, the big slob.
He's got all his strength back. I don't think I'll be able to sit down tonight. Bluff is such a wonderful dog.
Wouldn't you think any dog of yours was a wonderful dog?
I don't think so. You know, I love dogs, but there are lots of kinds I don't like.
For instance?
Well, I don't like angry dogs that growl at people. And I don't like dogs that don't trust people. But most of all, I don't like snooty dogs.
Are you sure it's the snooty dogs you don't like, or the snooty dog's owner?
Same thing. For instance, not being allowed to see Bluff in the big reception room today. Because that snooty little old French poodle was bedded down there.
Don't blame the poor poodle. Dr. Mixel tells us that Mr. Van Allen specifically ordered his dog to be kept in the reception room.
That's only because he thought the dog would like it better there.
I think you're being very hard on the dog. You should be a little harder on Van Allen.
Don't be silly. The fact that Mr. Van Allen insisted on it, and also that another dog be kept in that room to keep his dog company, is obviously his dog's fault. I never heard of anything so ridiculous or so snooty.
You seem to think that dogs are snootier than people.
Much. Have you ever seen two dogs meet on the street? Why, they size each other up much more critically than two women at a tea party.
All right, darling. Have it your way. Except that
Now, David, don't try to convince me. Because even if you are right, I'll still think that dogs are snootier than people. I don't like snoot.
I know by now that being right doesn't mean a thing as far as you're concerned. What time is it, darling?
It's about 20 after 5 by that big clock in the building over there. Why?
Let's stop in this drugstore here, and I'll call Lottie and see if there's any need for my going back to the office.
Oh, David, let me in the phone booth with you.
There's not enough room in those booths for more than one person at a time.
The last person in here was a man. He smoked a cigar.
A very expensive cigar.
You know all about cigars, too. Honestly, you men know more useless things. Oh, David, if you're not going to let me in the booth, will you at least leave the door open?
Do you want the whole world to know my business?
Am I the whole world?
I don't know why I always let you boss me like this.
Because it's easier than arguing.
Hello, Lottie. Yes, this is me. Anything new? Nobody called, eh?
Oh, that's wonderful. We can go right home.
Well, in that case, Lottie, I'll go straight... What's that? Yes, I'll hold on.
What's the matter? What happened?
Somebody just came in. She's seeing who it is. Any more questions?
Oh, I hope it isn't anybody.
No matter who it was, darling, that would be difficult.
Well, I mean, you know, somebody.
Why, you little snob. You're as snooty as a dog.
Well, I didn't mean it that way. Honestly, there are times when you
Who'd you say it was, Lottie? Mr. Finch?
Reggie! I wonder what he was.
He came to see me, eh?
Oh, I'd love to see Lottie and Reggie meet.
Lottie, would you ask Mr. Finch if he could come in tomorrow? Or...
Mr. Finch, Mr. Norton would like me to ask you if it would be convenient for you to come in tomorrow.
Tomorrow, eh? Oh, I'm afraid that'll be a little difficult. I'm running down to Virginia for the weekend. No, I couldn't possibly get out of that. It's a house party.
You don't say. Hello, Mr. Norton. He's got a house party in VA tomorrow. Very important, he says.
Of course, I suppose I could wait until next week.
Mr. Finch says it's not important. He's perfectly willing to wait until next week.
No, I'd much rather.
Mr. Norton, he thinks it's an awful shame for you to have to come all the way back here.
Yes, tell him not to bother. It's perfectly all right, really.
But, Mr. Norton, he says it isn't necessary for you. What he has to talk about you isn't important. Not at all, I'm sure. All right. I'll tell him. Yes, Mr. Norton. Mr. Finch, he says to wait.
Oh, that's very nice, really. I feel rather badly bringing him back here at this hour.
It's not every person who would come back, Mr. Finch. Mr. Norton is a very exceptional person.
Oh, yes, indeed. I know.
Are you planning to build, Mr. Finch?
Why, yes. Yes, I am.
You don't say. Well, Mr. Norton is the man to come to. He's a swell architect.
Yes, so I understand.
What do you want? A post office? I seen a photograph once of a post office he made. Just beautiful. Modern like.
Oh, yes, that received a great deal of attention.
Oh, no. I don't think so.
What? What is it?
No. I don't think you're the type.
Oh. For, what?
For a post office.
Oh, no, I don't think so either.
Pardon me, Mr. Finch, but there are a few things we would have to know about you. Your address, please.
Finch Hall, Old Westbury, Long Island.
No street number?
Not necessary. We're rather known around there.
I see. A nice neighborhood, Old Westbury, Long Island.
Well, if you don't mind...
Not at all. Pull up a chair. He won't be long in coming.
Thank you.
You don't look as if you was in business.
I'm not.
Oh. I like men who do something.
I'm sure you do.
Mr. Norton is a very busy man.
I'm glad to hear it.
He's out right now on a very important job.
Really?
Something very big. Started on it last Monday.
Oh, it's quite new, too.
Oh, yeah. He'll have it with him quite a long time.
I'm glad to hear it.
Mr. Finch, is there anything that you'd...
Thank you, but you really don't have to make conversation, you know. I'm perfectly willing to sit here in utter silence.
Really? I never cared very much for utter silence.
What a shame.
Of course, you realize that Mr. Norton's prices are going up.
Like everything else. They should.
Oh. And he doesn't have time to take on every job that comes his way.
Of course not.
If I was you, I wouldn't be dependent on him too much to build whatever it is you're hoping he'll do for you.
I'm not in the least bit worried, thank you.
I ain't being nosy, Mr. Finch, and I'm minding my own business. When I tell you...
Go on. I'm fascinated with whatever your business is.
Well, in that case, I'll just let you sit there and think about what I was going to say.
Thank you.
You know, Mr. Norton didn't expect you. It's very decent of him coming back like this.
Yes, indeed it is. Look, Miss
McBride. Lottie McBride.
Miss Lottie McBride. I realize that for some reason you are very reluctant to have me disturb Mr. Norton. I realize that you are the watchdog and guardian of this office. I realize that you think because I haven't calluses on my hands and I speak correct English that there's something terribly the matter with me. I wish to inform you, Miss Lottie McBride, that you are wrong on every count. And if you can't accept my presence here as a necessary evil of your position, which I must say is an extraordinarily lucky one for you, I'm afraid one of us is going to go. And it shan't be me. Thank you very much.
Well, I never heard anything said more beautifully, Mr. Finch.
Then let the rest be silence.
Well, Lottie, is he still here?
Right over there.
Hello, David. Claudia.
Hello, Reggie. Did I keep you waiting? I'm terribly sorry.
Hello, Reggie. How nice.
Well, if they ain't friends.
Miss McBride here tells me you're out on something very important, and of course
We've just been seeing Bluff. He's in the hospital, poor pup.
Oh, I am sorry to hear that.
Well, for some people, dogs are important.
Of course they are, Miss McBride. Even I know that.
Oh.
Oh, David, they're like two poodles at a tea party. Shh.
Well, Reggie, what brings you here today? What can I do for you?
David, there's a little matter I'd like to talk over with you. I don't like to take your time up. Your watchdog is very reluctant to have me...
Lottie, you don't have to protect me from Reggie. I'll protect myself.
Ah, Miss McBride, I feel as if I've won some very barbaric contest between us. I hope that you'll be a better loser than I am a victor. I usually gloat for days.
Get him.
Oh, darling, why don't you go into the other office and see what Reggie wants? I'll stay here with Lottie.
It won't take but a minute, David. It was just an idea of mine.
Yes, I want to hear about it.
Well, he sure puts it on.
Puts what on?
Long Island, Virginia, all that sort of stuff.
Lottie, he's not putting it on. It's just the way he is. He can't help it. Don't be a poodle about it.
A poodle, huh? Well, I got no use for him. That guy was born with a silver spoon between his gums. And he likes the taste of it so much he wouldn't let go of it in a million years.
Oh, Reggie's really awfully sweet, Lottie. It's not his fault that the silver spoon was his great-grandmother's money.
Well, I ain't got nothing against him. Only I don't go for snobs or snoots.
You know, I don't think Reggie goes for them either.
Well, what's he doing here anyway? He doesn't do any kind of work, now does he? I notice his fingers are all nice and smooth, like he has a manicure.
Maybe he has. Maybe he never really has done any work, but if Reggie's here, it's because he wants to do something pretty wonderful.
What could he do?
You know, David didn't know, but Reggie's going to build a factory on Long Island for blind men.
For blind men?
Mm-hmm. Factory specially designed for them, where they can have jobs and work and not feel handicapped because they can't see. They'll be able to have jobs, Lottie, and earn their own way, and they're never going to have to ask for pity or charity.
That's what that character's going to do, huh?
That's what it is.
Oh, gee. Guess I had him doped out all wrong. I talked to him really tough. I thought he was a softie.
All that's gold doesn't glitter, Lottie.
Gee, I had him figured all wrong. I guess he ain't snooty, huh? It's just the way he talks.
He had me fooled, too, first time I met him.
He had me feeling I was so much better than he was. You know, Mrs. Norton, I guess the Bronx ain't got no right to be snooty to Long Island after all. Oh, but gee, for a while there, it felt awful good.
This broadcast of Claudia was supervised and directed by William Brown Maloney. When you get to thinking that everything on your shopping list is going to cost more than you'd planned, just step over to that friendly red cooler Put a nickel in, and up will come the same delicious Coca-Cola you've always known. After you enjoy the pause that refreshes, ask for a carton of Coke to take home. And thank goodness there's one old favorite at its favorite old price. Just 5 cents a bottle. Every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you, transcribed, with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again tomorrow at the same time. And now this is Joe King saying au revoir. And remember, whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you may be, when you think of refreshment, think of Coca-Cola. For ice-cold Coca-Cola makes any pause the pause that refreshes.
Sweet little show. February 19th, 1948, Claudia here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit my webpage if you have a moment, classicradio.stream, where you can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting, and contact me there, classicradio.stream. If you miss a day, you don't have to miss a show. You can either stream it from my webpage, or you can also find the shows on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, also through the Amazon Music app. You can also find them through Audible. All sorts of places you can find them. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. That's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Do me a big favor and thank this station and support their advertisers. It is their kindness and courtesy that allow us to be here on your favorite station. And tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on your radio dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.